It was summer of 1953. We just finished 3 days someplace in Virginia, and he just appeared. He was tall and thin with a cap, green corduroy shirt, 6 inches too short for his long arms, khakis, and high lace-ups. I walked up to him and said, "Can I help you?" He said, "I want to go with you guys." I said, You want to go with you mean you want a job?" He said, "Whatever it takes, I just want to go with you guys." I took him to Jackie. Jackie had black horn-rimmed glasses on. He looked like a Salvation Army worker, but he was as good a trick rope and trick rider as there was. He'd gotten a Wild West show off his daddy, Pappy, a little man with a bald head that chewed a cigar. I said, "Jackie, what's your name?" He said, "They call me Coltrane." I said, "Jackie, this is Coltrane and he needs a job." He looked him up and down. Said, "Okay, you're hard. Load those mud sills." I don't really know how much he gave him. I'm sure he didn't give him much. But he wanted to belong, and he did. He became one of us. And he was a hard worker. He never bitched or complained. He was really gentle. Really, really gentle guy. Sometimes they'd let him eat in the kitchen. Other times we'd buy him sandwiches. There's a lot of work with a Wild West show. You got to put up the chutes and pens. Sometimes you even have to put up the arena. So there's a lot of work. At any rate, those old Rio trucks Jackie had, they had governors on them, and they could only go 55 miles an hour. And in that hot summer, you'd pull a throttle all the way out, crack the door, stand on the running board, and you get a breeze. In New England, those hills in New England and in the South. And those semis were all tagged in Alabama because it only cost $7 to tag them. Now, if it rained or if it was raining, it'd turn into a muddy-o, because those people paid 50 cents and they were in those stands that were covered, and they wanted to see a show. So it would take us forever to get that sand out of our clothes. It was Wilmington. First time I ever seen a chain gang. We just got there and a fella come up to us and he said, "I need 3 of you guys. Would you help move these people? We'll pay you." I said, "Yeah, we're your man." So we helped move them. And we didn't ask them much. They didn't have much. We were counting our money and the chief of police went by. He gathered us up and took us downtown, stood us in his office in front of his desk, paced up and down, paced up and down. He walked over to me, and he snatched a button off my shirt clean as a whip, like he'd been doing it forever. He said, "There was a burglary last night, and the only evidence they have is this button." The blood ran out of me. My mother don't even have a phone. We're a long way from home. I said, "We're in it now." So he said, "Now, you see that desk? There's a box on that desk, and it's got a pair of shoes in it. Now, if I were to sell those shoes, I'd probably lose this button." I said, how much are the shoes? He says, well, how much have you got? He took almost all our money. He took the box and showed me the shoes. They were brown and white, and they had cleats on them like they were golf shoes or something. I don't know what they were. But he said, okay, beat it. He said, aren't you going to take your shoes? I said, no, I'll leave them for the next guy. You can have them. That was the Azalea Festival at Wilmington, North Carolina. We're into Kentucky, New Hampshire, however you say it. And we're at a ball field. And we backed that bobtail up, and we'd sleep across in the bobtail. And Coltrane sometimes would sleep with us and wouldn't sometimes. And he was in the dugout that we backed up to. It was a full moon. And I looked down and seen him with his back to the wind, his collar pulled up, his shoes at attention right underneath that board. Brand new cardboard in them. And I looked at him and thought to myself, what can he possibly hope for? What's he dream about? What's he want to be besides just belong with us? I felt so bad for him. At any rate, Uncle George Hammond had the steel pair in Atlantic City. So Jackie was talking to him, and he said, Jackie said, we're going to have to tear up this track. And Uncle George said, no, it ain't no tearing up. I've got Irish Haran and Jack Kochman coming in, hell drivers, right after you guys leave. We ain't tearing nothing up. I'll pay for any damage to the animals. Damage to the animals? We get $2 a head to mount out bulls and bucking horses. I'll tell you what, we were sore forever hitting that goddamn asphalt. But that was Atlantic City. There's a lot more to Atlantic City, but that's all I can remember. The steers got out someplace. And Jackie said, saddle some of those horses and go gather them steers up. Well, we're not in the plains, we're not in the desert. This is woods and brush and, almost impossible. But we got 4 of them. I came to a little clearing, and there was a Civil War shack with smoke coming out of the chimney, and a paint horse tied outside. I was livid. I walked up on the porch, opened the door, walked in, and there's RJ sitting on the couch in front of a gallon jug of homemade wine. 2 heavy-set, big black women. And he starts introducing me. I told him, get your ass up. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm resting my horse. I said, your horse don't need any rest. He ain't done nothing. So I said, we got 2 steers left. Go help them boys find them. Now, they can't make a movie about RJ because they can't cast it. There's nobody in Hollywood gets close to him, not anyone. He had impeccable dialogues. He could do dialogue so perfect, incredible. And he was incredibly talented and rotten. He was no good. They caught him with the cocktail waitress in a penthouse in Havana. I don't know what he was doing, but you could do stories about him, but you couldn't cast it. It was someplace in South Carolina. Pappy woke me up, said, hey, load those bulls, we're out of here. I said, okay, where's Coltrane? He said, never mind, just load those bulls. I said, Pappy, where's Coltrane? Where is he? It's none of your business. What do you mean, none of my business? Where is he? Some men came in the night and took him. Now, load them bulls, we're out of here. Took him where? What men? I loaded the bulls. I got in the old Rio. There was a hedgerow on the way out of that fairgrounds. And I just knew coal train would be coming through that hydro and jump up in the old truck and get gone. But that didn't happen. I often think about him. Wonder what became of him. I think of him from time to time. It's tough growing up.